All right, let's jump right in. We're going to explore an idea that, I gotta admit, sounds a little crazy at first. The idea that a 3,000-year-old book of songs could actually be the ultimate guide to trading psychology. Think of it as an ancient map for the modern trader.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? Can this ancient text, in today's insane up and down markets, really make you a more resilient, better trader? Well, the source material we're digging into today makes a really powerful case that the answer is a resounding yes. You know, what's so cool about this approach is how our source looks at the Psalms. This isn't some dry textbook. It's not a do this, don't do that list. It's described as an emotional autobiography, a super raw, totally unfiltered diary of every single feeling a human can have, from the highest highs to the kind of lows that feel like they'll last forever.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Our source for this, Liquidation Lab, makes this wild claim. They say no modern trading psychology course even comes close to mapping out the human experience of the markets like this does. And look, this isn't about religion. It's about a timeless map of the human heart under extreme pressure.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, we start right at the beginning, just like the Psalms do. The very first one lays out this fork in the road, and it's a choice that every single one of us has to make as a trader about what our entire career is built on.
And what's really fascinating and maybe a little intense is that there's no middle path. There's no gray area. You're either on one road or you're on the other, heading to two totally different places. The Psalm basically gives us two blueprints for a trader. And which one you pick, well, that decides everything. So here it is, the big choice. Are you the tree or are you the chaff? The tree, it's all about having deep roots. Roots in your principles, your system, something that doesn't change day to day. And notice, it says it gives fruit in its season. That's key. It doesn't mean you're winning all the time. Then you've got the chaff. Looks great when the sun's out, right? But the second a big gust of volatility hits, poof, it's gone. I mean, that's such a powerful image, isn't it? The best traders are just like that tree. And here's the thing to really get. It's not about the fruit, the profits. It's about where you're planted. Are you connected to something consistent, like sound principles? That's why your leaf doesn't wither during a drawdown, because your roots run deep. All right, so let's say you've made your choice. You're going to be the tree. But here's the reality check. Choosing to be a tree doesn't stop the storms from coming. Oh no, they are definitely coming. And the Psalms help us look at two kinds of storms. First, the obvious one, market chaos. But then there's the second, sneakier one, the internal storm of envy. So, picture this. The market's going absolutely nuts. A flash crash, some crazy news hits the wire. The temptation is to panic, right? But Psalm 46 has this wild advice. Be still. Now, our source points out this doesn't mean just freeze up and do nothing. Not at all. It's about having this unshakable presence, trading from your system, your rules, what you know, instead of just reacting to the noise and the fear. Okay, so maybe you've got a handle on the market chaos. But what about that other kind of chaos? You know the one. You're scrolling social media and you see it. Another trader posting some massive win that looks like it took them zero effort. That feeling, that internal storm of envy, man, that can be way more dangerous than any flash crash. And Psalm 73 is just painfully real about this. The writer basically says, look, I was doing everything by the book, and then I saw these arrogant guys who weren't disciplined at all, just making a killing. It almost broke me. And come on, every single trader knows that feeling, that moment where you think, why am I even trying to be disciplined when that guy is getting lucky? So what's the fix? How do you get past that envy? And this is so important. The answer isn't to go figure out what the other guy's doing. Nope. The psalmist finds his answer in the sanctuary. And for us as traders, that sanctuary is logging off social media. It's closing the charts for a bit. It's opening up your own trading journal, looking at your own data, and getting back to your principles. That's how you get your head straight. All right, now we need to talk about probably the toughest part of this whole thing. What happens when you're in that deep, painful drawdown, and the comeback you keep expecting, it just doesn't come? This is what we could call the dark valley. And honestly, this might be the single most validating and powerful lesson in the whole collection. Because Psalm 88 talks about something most trading gurus just sweep under the rug. And it's this. Sometimes the bad times, they don't just magically resolve.
There isn't always a happy ending right around the corner. That's how Psalm 88 ends. Just think about that. No big comeback, no silver lining. It's the only psalm in the entire collection that just ends in darkness. The fact that it's even in there says something incredibly profound about the human experience. And that's why it's so, so important for traders. This psalm gives you permission. It's permission to be in a really tough spot, to be struggling, and to not have to pretend you're feeling positive. You don't have to perform a recovery that hasn't happened yet. And the source we're looking at says that kind of brutal honesty, well, that's way healthier and way stronger than faking it. So, okay, we've just been through the darkest valley. We've sat in that unresolved struggle. So where does that leave us? What's the final lesson? What is the bedrock foundation for a trader's mind? Well, what comes next is kind of shocking. The very last psalm, number 150, is just a total explosion of joy. I mean, think about it. After all of that doubt, all that envy, all the darkness we just talked about, the very last word of the entire book is a massive, loud, energetic party. And it all builds to this one final instruction, the very last line of the whole collection. But what on earth does that mean for someone staring at a chart? Okay, here it is. This is the big reveal. That call to praise, or you could say gratitude or seeing value, it has nothing to do with your performance. It's not based on your P&L. It's not something you do after you have a winning week. The only condition is that you're still breathing. As long as you're still in the game, as long as you're still here showing up and learning, that's it. That's enough. Your story isn't finished. So we've come through this whole journey, the big choice, the storms, the darkest valley, and the final celebration. And it brings us right back to that very first question. What is your foundation? What are you rooted in? Because at the end of the day, when the wins and losses fade away, when the storm is over, all that's left is what was there to begin with, the breath, the foundation. So I'll leave you with this. Are you a tree or are you chaff?